Awesome, everybody. Welcome. We are right on time, actually. It's 7:30, and I got Heather here. So real quick, before we get going with Heather, one of the big reasons that I asked her to come on is just because she is like the definition of what I like want to help people with. And I'm super excited for her. So she worked with us for 6 months. She started back in February. And she started off, and we just talked about this. She was at 1,100 calories roughly, like when she first started tracking, just like tracking her day to day. So one of the really weird things about our program is we don't just like start you on a program. We need to know where you're at and kind of get a sense of where you've been. And so on the first, I think I asked for 4 days from Heather, including a weekend, and it was like on average is like 1,100 calories a day. But the reason wasn't because she was trying to like hit a low calorie goal or anything like that. It was just because she was like so busy. Like, so I'm like, we had to run through her day, and she's like, literally, I wake up at this time, get like, and just like hit out the door. She's got a son, and then logging right into work, and then like working until he gets home, and then like crashing, and just like at the end of the day, hanging out and watching like shows and movies with your kid, but kind of like how you relax. So there's some things that we couldn't really like work around. It's not like, all right, cool, like I need you to work out for like an hour a day, and you need to go to a gym, and you need to go do your HIIT classes, and you need to follow this super restrictive eating plan, because I just know that would never have worked, because one, I don't think your metabolism is in a right spot for that at the time, but two is like you can't give up like date night with your kid. Like you can't give up those things. So we couldn't ask her to be 100% honest. So welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
Some other cool things that happened with Heather. She has some crazy, awesome transformation pictures. I'm not a big fan of just sharing those because I don't know 100% how comfortable everybody is. They're on like a landing page somewhere in the world. if you want to like dial in it. But some cool things that Heather did. She lost about 10 pounds. She lost 3 inches on her waist and 3 inches on her hips. Total, she lost I think an inch on her chest. And the thing that I always want to say is, like, when you look at inches lost for different people, it means different things. If you lose primarily that weight around that midsection, waist and hips, most likely you're going to be losing a lot more fat because there's just not a lot of muscle mass there. If you start losing a lot of inches like around your chest, that could be like, for me, if I started losing a lot of muscle mass there, like my inches would go down, it wouldn't look good. So like, I think one of the biggest differences that we like to talk about is not just weight loss, but fat loss. And that is what we really try to accomplish, when we were working with Heather, was losing as much fat as possible, feeling like good in your skin again, and doing it the super healthy way. So another thing that she came to us, she's eating around 1,100 calories. She just joked, she's like, I don't even know if I ate any protein. But when she entered her deficit, so we go into an active cut to try to lose fat, she was eating 1,750 calories. So for anybody out there who is like, I don't know, you're at like 1,100 calories and you're not losing weight, here's like a prime example. Heather started super low. She worked up and doubled her calories to 2,200 calories per day, eating about 130 to 140 grams of protein. She also was the definition of resourceful. And what I mean by that is, it's like, hey, you sit at a desk all day. You need to get some steps in. Are you open to like an under the desk treadmill? And she got it. And I think he even said, like, it's not even under your desk anymore. You just like have it in your living room.
It's in my living room, and I use it every night when we watch TV now. Like, I'll walk 20 to 30 minutes after we eat dinner because my kid ignores me anyways. He's on his Switch and watching YouTube. So I'm like, all right, well, we're still together, but at least like I can walk and get my steps in. So it's like the routine instead of laying on the couch.
I love that.
Like,
I love that.
Together.
Yeah, but I think that's what, the big takeaway for me was, Heather, is that you were extremely adaptable, you were extremely resourceful, and that's why it worked for you, is because like it wasn't this crazy all or nothing principle, right? And I think that was one of the biggest things. Like, if you've ever done a challenge with me, it's like this imperfect action. It's always progressing forward. It's, doing the opposite of what you would do in the past. If in the past you'd get really frustrated and, maybe not see the progress that you want, but like, what you're doing is healthy, you find all these other wins. And, I don't know what they were for you, but typically, like, when it comes to your cycle gets more regulated. Energy, skin, complexion, like all these different things really start to shine. And one of the biggest takeaways that I remember, Heather, she was on a coaching call. So we do a little group coaching, but I remember you like plain as day. She saves so much time because she used to spend so much time getting ready in the morning. And now she's like, I'm cool just like going to work, like, because she works from home, like going online, logging in, and like feeling confident in her skin without having to put on like a bunch of makeup. I'm like, never thought like these are the things that surprise me, like as a coach. Like I don't know exactly what to expect when somebody starts with us. So welcome, Heather. Thank you. That was maybe too long of an introduction. But I think it all has to be said. Like super proud of you, super excited. So far how far you have come, but also like being able to keep the progress that you've had, understand like what it takes to be healthy, and like know that you can continue to do this on your own. So first question. Mm-hmm. What made you decide that it was time to take action and transform your health?
Yeah, so for me, I've struggled with weight my whole life. So I think a lot of us probably can relate to that. Like ever since I was a little kid, I was the emotional food eater. I used to get made fun of. Family gave me nicknames. Like I just always struggled. And then I always do what everyone does, like the newest diet. And finally, like in 2019, like I was finally like, oh my God, I need to do something, and found something that works for myself. And it worked until I was recently diagnosed with a heart condition. And so with my heart condition, I found out that I couldn't do cardio anymore. And so I really struggled because I used to be a runner. I used to run every day, and that was like my daily exercise. And so once I went through that and got through that process of like, hey, this is my new normal, I really struggled to find an exercise routine. And then I just like snowballed into a whole bunch of like my bad habits again. And like, I just couldn't get out of it. It was like a really big, like mental game for me. And like, it gotten to the point where like, I had originally lost 40 pounds when I did my first journey on my own. I was like 180 some pounds, got down to 142. And then slowly I was creeping back up towards 160 again. And I was like having a panic attack, like, okay, this isn't working. I've tried everything. Like, and so your program is basically what stuck out. It was like all of a sudden, like the light bulb of like, okay, like I'm busy. I am a single mom. I work all day. I just like don't have time to research like what I should actually be doing and what might work. Like I don't have time to like test and fail. And so, yeah, joined your guys' program because like I struggle asking for help, and I had like reached a point of like, I needed to ask for help.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you reached out. I think that's something that's kind of interesting too, though, is like, it is hard to ask for help, but like, and I don't, it's just so interesting to me because, what Haley, so you work primarily with Haley, and what you guys really like worked on, but like what Haley does is she takes people through a journey. Like what we do as nutrition coaches, we're not nutritionists, we're not dietitians, we're not putting you on a meal plan, we're not putting you like in some plan that was like Optavia or anything like that. We're working with you and taking you through like a journey, because that's like what we do all day, every day. It's the same reason that like a mechanic can change your oil in like 10 seconds, right? They're good at it. They know where everything is. They know what to expect. They like, even though different makes and models and different people, they know exactly like how to drain one, how to fill it, like like all those things. The same way like a dentist knows what's best for your teeth, right? So when you say like you're looking for that help, I think that's one of the biggest benefits. And that's what I got out of the coach, because I was in the space for so long and struggled. And what Haley did for me too is she's just like, stop focusing on that. Just like keep your blinders on to what's important. Ryan, what's important to you right now is freaking water and sleeping at night. Right. So for Heather, I don't like, do you remember any of like what those blinders are, those focus points were when you wanted to like just do everything? Do you remember any?
Yeah, I remember. And that was the one, again, that was like the one great thing about coaching is like, it's like outside looking in, right? And so for me, I am like the person that's relied on a lot in my family. And so like it stresses me out. So it's like all the things that help you like gain weight. And so Haley's biggest thing was like, what are your non-negotiables? You always have to have like 3 non-negotiables, and you always need to focus on like, what can you control? So like, you can't control some of the things your family's doing. You can't control some of the things that like work is doing. So like in each of this situation, like try to ask yourself, like, what can you control? And like, So for me, like throughout this journey, it was like water. Like I
Mhm.
can always make sure I'm drinking like all the amount of water that I need to drink. And then the second thing was exercise. So like for me, I focused on like getting my steps and trying to do my strength training. And then my other thing was I went back and forth on my third negotiable, depending on like if I was in deficit or maintenance, on focusing on hitting my protein or hitting my calories.
Mhm.
So when I was in maintenance, I was focusing on my protein, but when I was in my deficit, because I still like to go to brunch and do all those things, for me, I had to really focus on my calories because adult beverages added up really fast.
They do. They
And they
do.
made me lose the weekend a whole bunch of times. And so like for me though, like, but it was again like knowing and learning, like, okay, I did this, it didn't work. So like let's try this next time. Instead of protein, let's try to just focus on calories. And like
Yeah.
as I was doing that and as you guys were challenging me with that, it was helping me to focus on like the right things moving forward.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I remember challenging you on, again, during one of those group coaching calls, was having hard conversations of expectations and expectations, and tell people like, hey, this is what I want. Like, I want to feel good in my skin again. And what I like, and I'm not going to get into any details about you, obviously, 'cause I don't want to, but one, like some things, I have hard conversations all the time. I'm super comfortable having hard conversations. So
Yeah.
like when we kind of coach up on how to do that, it's like, all right, well, obviously we have no emotion to it, but let's like almost like let's role play. Let's set up like an example of exactly like what you're going to say to who in what situation, so that you can feel really good about that conversation and not like get all that anxiety around it. Like I
Yeah.
remember there's like a handful of conversations in my life that just gave me like this tightening in my chest and like I don't want to talk about it. Well, it's because I had like no one to talk to about it. I had no one to like escape from it, like, and really didn't know how to go about that conversation. So I think like, we had some good conversations about that.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to the adult beverages, but especially it is hard, but also like it can work. One thing that Heather says, and which I don't want you guys to take for granted, is that like she still got to enjoy brunch and things and like ice cream and like adult beverages and all that good stuff. But like she had non-negotiables. She did her exercises, like she got her steps. Like it wasn't like, hey, I wonder if Heather's doing this today. Like she's going to do it. And I think that is like it kind of got glazed over real quick. And I want to like come back. Like that's all it takes is what you have to control. And one thing that I'm starting to do a lot more conversations with, people that I'm working with is, all right, here's plan A. I'm excited for plan A. Plan A is going to crush for you. You're like going to lose all this weight. It's going to be amazing. But what are you going to do when you fuck up? Like when life gets hard, when work calls extra meetings, like what are you going to do? And I think what you did really good, Heather, was you had like a plan B, and plan B was I'm focused on protein right now. I'm making sure I'm crushing calories. I'm at least like, I'm always getting my water goal, right? Like, so plan B was your non-negotiables. Plan A was when everything kind of lined up. So when like there's time of ease, plan A is easy. But if it's like life stressful, like I got plan B over here. Like no matter what, there's a plan moving forward.
Well, and I was really, and strict isn't the right word, but like I had my routine down Monday through Friday pretty much. And it was like the weekends where it would throw me off, or I would travel, and like I learned how to like pre-plan. Like that was another big key of like one of my wins is like, hey, I'm going to be like going someone's house. Like I don't know what they're going to have. So like I got really good about like throwing protein bars and extra protein shakes like in my bag and just bringing them. And then I tried to focus, like I wasn't eating brunch every day and ice cream every day, right? Like it was like a meal on the weekend or like Saturday and Sunday, but then like the next meal, it was like right back to like, okay, hey, I had fun, I enjoyed it. Like now it's like back to reality and like, let's just keep going. Which is where I used to struggle in the past. But because I had like the routine built, it was easy to just, hey, tonight, like, I don't care what's going on. Like I'm going to do extra steps. Like I'm going to be extra active. I'm going to drink extra water. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy my meal. Like I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm going to enjoy it. And then the next day, it's just like continuing on that path. So
I love that. I love that. So I got to ask, so you decided to ultimately like, start working with, what was kind of like going through your head, or no, you already said that. Sorry. You're telling us that you struggled to ask for help, but you were trending in the wrong direction. You really didn't know what to do. So you mentioned our program, but like, why did you specifically decide to work with me and Haley and M2 coaching?
So my sister-in-law also worked with you guys, at a prior employer. And so like, I was just familiar with you in general and followed a lot of your stuff on Facebook. And so at the time that I was like really going through my struggles, I started like following the Facebook group, more closely. And a lot of the stuff like intrigued me. And I was like, oh, well, like, I feel like I could do this. Like, this doesn't seem that difficult. And so, for me, I think it was just like the only option that was like, it was like the light bulb went off at the right time. And I was like, okay, let's give it a try and see what happened.
Cool. What was one of your biggest challenges you faced, and how did you overcome it during our time together?
So as I the adult beverages, I think like for me personally, like, so one of the things I liked about the program, like you guys challenged us with the hard questions of like trying to drill into like specifically like who we are and what was causing some of like the emotional eating and like where do you want to be in 6 months? And like that was where I struggled, is trying to figure out like who I wanted to be in 6 months. And so for me, it was my self-confidence. Like I smile through anything, like I'm stressed, scared, like this girl just smiles through it all, even though she's cringing on the inside. And so like for me, my biggest challenge through this was getting back to myself and just being, I don't care like what you fucking think about me, sorry. But like that's who I wanted to be. Like I didn't want to be the girl that felt like she had to put on all this makeup, do her hair, try on like 20 million things in her closet before she decides what she's gonna go and like wear out. Like that was really my biggest challenge. And win towards the end of it is like working through just feeling comfortable in my own skin. And like I'm a mom, like so as a result of having kids, like I have stretch marks and like there's just not like I look in the mirror and like there was just no confidence. Like you just look at yourself and you're like, look, like so for me going through that journey was really probably my biggest challenge throughout all of this.
That's awesome. And you feel more confident now? Feel good?
100%. And I actually like I'm super excited. Like I have jean shorts. I'm actually wearing jean shorts today. Like I have not worn jean shorts like since I was probably a kid. Like I'm so excited. Like you guys have no idea. It's like the little things in life now of like I can wear shorts and like feel comfortable. Like I never wore shorts. And I didn't lose a ton of weight. Like it's just in general though, like the combination of going through the journey, losing weight, but then just like feeling so much better about myself now. Like that combination now is like deadly. Like I'm like,
you know, one thing I don't want you to downplay the weight that you lost to, because like I would be very, very confident to say that you built some muscle during that time. Like, you know, just because the number on the scale was only 10 pounds over 6 months, I bet your body composition, like based off your pictures, you might have gained 5 to 6 pounds of muscle during that time and lost like 15 pounds of fat, because like your before and after pictures just like don't lie, right? And that's what I like, that's why we do them. Like, and then that's it. I always get very hesitant to talk about this because when I did body fat measurements with people all the time and they wouldn't change, or sometimes people would lose weight and actually get fatter because they were losing more muscle than fat. So like your body fat percentage would actually go up because now your percent of your body that is fat is higher than the muscle mass. And it never made sense. They're like, but I lost weight. I'm like, shoot, like when you go to those extreme calorie restrictions, your body's like, I don't want this thermogenic tissue called muscle. I want to get rid of it. I'm super hungry and fat's like super efficient for energy. Like I want to store more. So don't downplay it. You have like, no matter what the number is, like the pictures, the measurements, but like the other things that I find more important, your ability to wear jean shorts, your ability to like pick out clothes quick and like get that time back. You know, like I always got made fun of in college because I would try on like 5 or 6 different like quote unquote outfits. For like for a guy, it's like literally
you usually don't. It's like a t-shirt.
I got t-shirt and jeans. Yeah, I got 3 pairs of jeans. Like, why am I even going through this? I'm wearing the jeans that are the loosest. I'm wearing the t-shirt that like isn't tight on my stomach. Right. Like I should have just known that, but like, oh, maybe it fits.
Yeah.
Anywho, back to you. One piece of advice for someone who wants to achieve what you've achieved.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to, I mean, I think it's scary when you have to like dig into like your fears and like what's causing like this. And I think you just don't be afraid, jump in, like, and be confident in yourself, right? Like bet on yourself. Like we are so busy day in and day out that I feel like it's just so easy to like just get stuck. And like I think like these days, like, and a lot of people are more like they put other people before themselves, and like you kind of feel selfish. Like be selfish and bet on yourself, because I think it'll be like the greatest journey. And like it helps you to just become the best you. And in my opinion, like that also means you're going to be like, I feel like I'm a better mom now. Like I have more patience and like more energy for doing stuff with my son. I am like more focused and like way more productive like at work. And so like my biggest piece of advice would be to like go all in, bet on yourself. Yeah, just be you.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that, okay, here's a like follow-up question to that. Like, why do you think people struggle to do that?
Because it's easy, it's the easy button, right? Like it's easy to just go eat, like whatever. It's easy to stop by McDonald's and Culver's. Like when I started this, you guys, I was like literally like venti iced coffees and Culver's for dinner. That was my diet, like every day for months. So like that's where my 1,200 calories came from.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, yeah, does it take a lot longer now? Like, do we still go out to eat? Absolutely. But does it take me a little bit longer to look at the menu and figure out like what's maybe a better choice? Like, so that I can still enjoy going out to eat, but just maybe eating something that's like higher protein. Like maybe I'm trading in some of my sides and having fruit and salad instead of French fries, like, but I'm still having the burger. Like, I mean, it's the easy button. Like it takes time to plan. And so I think people just get stuck in that. And like, you kind of like shut down, because I was that way too. Like, oh, I can't do that. There's no way I can work out an hour. Like now today, like I've traded in getting ready and found like, hey, I have that hour. It's just, what is the trade-off? Like, so for me, if I'm not showering and putting makeup on before work, I'm getting up and I'm walking on the treadmill for an hour and just throwing my hair in a mom bun and wiping the sweat off, and I'm going to sit down and do my work. Like it's figuring out what those trade-offs are, but it's hard. Like you have to do the hard work and make it a habit, and then it's easy. Like it's easy now for me, but like in the beginning it wasn't. Like I was coming to you guys all the time frustrated on different things.
Yeah, but like, I mean, like at the very beginning, sure, but like then every time that you came to us, you got a strategy, you had an idea, you had a plan, you had an option. So we just gave you options, like which ones do you want to go with? What do you want to try this week? And then, all right, well, that didn't work, check, like cross that off, throw it over here. Oh, like maybe we come back to that. Or, but it wasn't like, this is exactly what to do. If you can't do this, you're a failure. Right. Like I never want anyone to feel like they're failing. Like I truly believe like everybody who wants to lose weight, they'll do it. Like it's just, how quick do you want to do it? Like how happy do you want to be during that process? And I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of people don't go all in on themselves, is because they want to put like they want to have an out already. Oh, keto didn't work for me because like I couldn't stick to it. It was my fault. Or like Weight Watchers didn't work for me because like, you know, I like too many things that had like high fat, and like their point system just wasn't for me. But like they like to have that, put that blame back on them, because like they see people who have success like, oh, it just didn't work for me. And I'm like, cool, like, so what will work for you? Instead of like just saying like hard yes or no, like, cool, what will work? Let's figure it out. Let's find some strategy. Let's find some bullet points to like crush. Like for you, let's find some non-negotiables. Like just start, hey, how much water do you drink right now? Like before you have your first, Starbucks drink, could you just get in 16 ounces? Like, I think that's like where we started, was just like, can we just get water in before, during, and after work? And now, like, how much water do you drink a day?
So this is my favorite little water bottle. It's 32 ounces. I drink 3 of these a day.
Heck yeah.
And I usually have 2 of these gone by 8 a.m.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, it was really tough in the beginning, because like I work, so I literally sit here working all day, and I'm like, oh my God, when I first started the water journey, I'm like, I have to pee like a million times, and like trying to like go through my meetings, like sometimes I was like, all right guys, sorry, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But like your body adjusts, and like now, like after going through it, I'm like, it wasn't so bad. And like now, again, it's just like natural. This water bottle is just always full of water. And now my son has a matching one.
Yeah.
And he fills his up all the time too. Granted, I tell him he doesn't need to drink 3. He thinks he has to drink 3 too. But yeah, he has one now himself, and so we match, and we both have our water now.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, Heather, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but is there anything else that you want to add? Anything that, some things that you didn't expect to happen that happened, or anything else?
I think the one thing I want to just like, I guess, compliment you guys on your program with is like, I think anytime you're trying to start this journey, I think like the other reason why people might not is just because it can be so overwhelming. Like, deep down inside, you're not doing all of the things you should be. Like when it comes to sleep and water and like eating healthy and exercise, like all the big key foundational pieces of like living a healthy life. Like most of us aren't doing it. I was not doing it. And the thought though of having to start was very overwhelming. And so I just want to say, like with this program, I think one of the things that stuck out the most was it was kind of like Legos. It was like one piece at a time. Like to your point, like we started with water, and like that's literally all I had to focus on besides tracking what I was doing currently and like what I was eating. And then it was like, okay, like how did week 1 go with water? And it went okay. And like we had to tweak some things. And then it was like slowly adding in, okay, we need to up your calories. And it was never we're upping your calories right away to 2,200. It was always like a slow, like, okay, this week we're adding like 200 calories, or we're adding 50 calories. We're adding this for protein. And so it was always like one Lego at a time that we were adding. So it wasn't as overwhelming as like when you walk in and go, okay, you need to be doing all these 10 things. It was one thing, 1 to 2 things each week. And like once you mastered it, then we added another. So like you're doing these 2 things and now one other new thing. Like you got used to it. And like, to me, I think that makes all the difference. And I've even noticed that like my son has high anxiety. And I've used some of those concepts and that thought process with him on like trying to transition him with different things. And it makes all the difference, I think, to not make it overwhelming. Because that's when you want to quit, is when it's overwhelming.
Yeah, here, I just want to share this really quick because I think like what you are talking about is like, I thrive, like I liked school and college. I hated in high school, I hated in middle school, but like college, I thrived because like all they did was they told you what to expect every day. And like when you know what to expect, like, all right, cool, now I can prepare for it. And then you can like build strategies around it. So what you guys are looking at here is literally Heather's roadmap. And I love that because I just opened this because you mentioned it. Her goal, get down to 146 in a way that you love. And I feel like that's exactly what we did. Like ironically, like exactly what we did.
I was 146.6, I think, when I did my exit survey.
Yeah. But like, we were talking about sleep in here. We're talking about obstacles, like the real problems, not just like, I think there's a lot of superficial problems. Like, like you're a busy single mom. All right, cool. Now what? Like, we can't change that. Can't have a live-in home trainer and it's just gonna, or like a home chef, right? Like that wasn't an option. So, but like figuring out what was going to work around it. Also, work around that heart condition we talked about. You get your expert, the recommendation or whatever right away. But then, feel safe enough so your body is getting the nutrients, water, enough exercise output, like all these different things. This was like step 1. Like this was where we started. And then when we're done with that, like this is how we're going to do it first. Here's why it's important. So like you literally get that step-by-step process of exactly what you want. Like get to 75 ounces. Now she's up to 90. So like I think that's one of the things that I really appreciate, or that I really value. And I love going through it because I think when people do sign up, it is a significant investment in yourself. And it can be extremely scary because there's always that fear of like, what if I invest and I fail? Well, you start thinking like, I know I gotta be healthier. I gotta make these lifestyle changes. I gotta, drink more water. I gotta spend more time in bed at night. Like Ryan's talking about food quality. Then he's talking about food quantity. Like, oh my gosh, I got a protein goal. Like he said something about fiber one time. Like, I think I should be eating like 30 grams of fiber. And then like, but I'm only getting like 10 grams of fiber. Like, but then when I eat like 30 grams of fiber, I have like a 4,000 extra calories. I'm like, it is extremely overwhelming. So it's like, all right, take a breath. You're focused on protein right now. I love that you hit protein. How do you feel when you hit protein? Cool. What did you eat that was like protein? Like, let's learn about it now, like, so that you can go and make these substitutions when you go out to like lunch or dinner, or, you have to like eat food on the go. Awesome. So now, like, if all we're doing is trying to like build a general plate every once in a while for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that is getting you 30 to 40 grams of protein, well, now I can hit this goal pretty easily. you know, when I have a step goal of 12,000 steps per day, well, 12,000 steps looks like 2 20-minute walks at this speed, right? Like, so I can either do 40 minutes in the morning, I do 20-20, I can do 10-10-10, or, you know, like however you want to break it apart. But like, you kind of take a step back, like, all right. And like you said, you stack those wins on top of each other. So like, we didn't move on to even focusing about food quality. Like, I don't even think we would cut out Culver's until like you could hit a protein goal with it, right? Like, it was just, all right, cool. Like, I see that it, like, you can have it, like, no big deal. Like, I always joke, like, I have somebody who ate Culver's every meal, like she ate it once a day, every day, the whole time she was with us, and she still lost like 15 pounds.
Well, I ended up ordering, because I'm again single mom, like it was hard, like I can't cook every night. Like we literally come home from school and go straight to sports. And so I ended up getting a lot of like Chipotle, and I would just order bowls, like double protein with all the veggies, no queso. I wouldn't even get their sour cream, because I would buy light sour cream.
Okay.
I was like trading in, and then like got the little scale. And so yeah, I had like mastered out like figuring out how to just eat Chipotle, which I ate a majority of the time through my deficit.
Yeah.
But it was like focusing on like what were the right like components to be eating with Chipotle, like not the chips, not the queso.
Yeah.
It was the protein and the guac, so I had my fat, and like the beans, so I had fiber, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
I
I
love
loved during that challenge, like during all of this too, like you guys' biggest question, especially in maintenance, was, can you do this forever? Because like in the beginning, you're so like go, 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 and like you think you can do it, but like to like challenge yourself, can you do this forever? Because if you can't, like then that's the problem, because like when you're in maintenance, like that's your forever stage. So if it's not sustainable now, like it's not going to be sustainable in the future. So it's like we need to address it, we need to fix it and figure out like what is going to work then. And like I remember you asking me that all the time with my steps, because I think when I started too, I was only at like 2,200, like 3,000 steps a day was my average, and now I'm like averaging 12,000 a day, like because of that treadmill.
Yeah.
Like I can now that I have the treadmill, but like without it, it would have been no way. It would have been game changing.
Exactly. You're adaptable. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think you're awesome. You crushed it. If you ever need anything, let me know. But thank you for coming on tonight. I'm going to stop the recording and just see if anybody's got any questions. I don't know if anybody's out there still.